Bold revelations, my dear listener, and welcome to an exploration of the enigmatic phenomenon that is the avoidant ex reappearing on Valentine's Day. Today, we embark on a journey through the labyrinth of the human heart, a journey to understand why, against all expectations, that elusive figure who once faded into the background of your life might suddenly return when love is in the air. In this discussion, titled Why Your Avoidant Ex May Suddenly Reappear on Valentine's Day, we shall peel back the layers of mystery and delve deep into the motivations, the fears, and the hidden longings that drive these seemingly contradictory actions. Let us begin by acknowledging that Valentine's Day, that annual celebration of passion and affection, casts a potent spell on many. It is a day when even the most self-contained souls might feel the weight of their own isolation, and for the avoidant that day holds an extraordinary kind of significance. Imagine, if you will, a chilly winter morning on February 14th. The streets are awash with red roses, heartfelt declarations, and the soft hum of romantic melodies. Amid this festive clamor, you receive a message, a text, a call, or perhaps even a brief, enigmatic appearance, reminding you of someone who once held a curious place in your heart. The question then arises, why, after all the silence and distance, does your avoidant ex choose this very day to re-emerge? To answer this question, we must first understand the nature of the avoidant mind. Avoidant individuals are often cloaked in a protective armor forged in the fires of past hurt and disappointment. They have learned, sometimes harshly, that vulnerability is a perilous gift, and so they construct elaborate fortresses around their hearts. These fortresses are not built of stone or steel, but of habits, routines, and a carefully curated emotional distance. When Valentine's Day comes around, the atmosphere, thick with promises of love and the undeniable power of connection, can both unsettle and provoke these defenses. In the warmth of collective celebration, even the most guarded avoidants may find themselves grappling with an unexpected pang, the haunting awareness that perhaps, just perhaps, they might be missing out on something real. Consider the story of Michael, a man I once knew who epitomized the avoidant disposition. Michael was a scholar of sorts, a man of refined tastes, whose life was a series of measured interactions and calculated retreats. He never allowed himself to be too vulnerable, and yet, every February 14th, a transformation would occur. As the day approached, Michael's normally impenetrable facade would falter. He'd become restless, as though the constant parade of love around him was a reminder of a treasure locked away in a distant memory. One Valentine's Day, Michael found himself wandering through a park, his eyes wandering over couples entwined in tender embraces, his thoughts adrift in a sea of longing. He had, like many avoidants, built a fortress to keep the pain at bay, but that very fortress sometimes becomes a prison that isolates him from the possibility of joy. And on that day, as the festivities swirled around him, Michael's defenses began to crumble, just enough to allow a flicker of hope. A hope that perhaps he could reconnect with a part of himself he had long denied. Now, you might ask, what compels an avoidant ex to reappear after all the distance? The answer, as paradoxical as it may seem, lies in the interplay between desire and fear. Avoidants are caught in a ceaseless dance, a dance where the very thing they claim to fear, intimacy, is the thing they secretly yearn for. They thrive on the idea of being needed, yet they recoil at the thought of losing their independence. Valentine's Day, with its undeniable focus on togetherness and connection, forces them to confront this inner conflict. The reappearance of an avoidant ex on such a day is not merely a spontaneous act. It is a moment of reckoning, a fleeting opportunity to reassess what they truly want and what they are willing to risk. Imagine a scene where you receive a brief, almost tentative message from an ex who vanished without warning. There is no dramatic apology, no grand romantic gesture, only a simple, "Hey, how are you?" that carries a depth of emotion beneath its surface. That message, my dear listener, is loaded with the weight of unspoken confessions, a quiet admission of regret and longing. It is as if, on Valentine's Day, the avoidant ex finds that their carefully constructed barriers are no longer impregnable. The collective celebration of love strips away the pretense, leaving behind a raw, unvarnished truth that deep down they are afraid of missing out, afraid of the isolation that comes with perpetual detachment. In our exploration today, we shall uncover various facets of this phenomenon. We will discuss the psychological triggers that lead to this sudden reappearance, the internal conflict between the desire for connection and the fear of vulnerability, and the subtle cues that signal an avoidance shift from retreat to a tentative approach. We will also share stories of individuals like Michael, who have navigated these turbulent emotional waters, and we will explore practical insights into how you might interpret and respond to such a reappearance if it happens in your own life. One of the central themes we shall delve into is the idea that avoidants, despite their aversion to closeness, are not devoid of emotion. On the contrary, beneath their composed exteriors lies a cauldron of feelings that they have long suppressed. It is this internal landscape, a mix of longing, regret, and sometimes even self-reproach, that fuels their unpredictable behavior. When they reappear on a day like Valentine's Day, it is often because the atmosphere of love triggers memories of what they once had and what they fear they have lost. They may not articulate these feelings in words, but their actions, however subtle, speak volumes. Consider the case of Rebecca, a woman whose story has touched many in our community. Rebecca once loved an avoidant ex who, for years, maintained an emotional distance that left her feeling unfulfilled and uncertain. Yet every Valentine's Day, as the world around her celebrated love, she noticed small signs that he was still thinking of her: an unexpected text, a fleeting smile, a moment when he seemed almost present. These were not the boisterous declarations of passion one might expect, but quiet, almost imperceptible gestures that hinted at a hidden depth of feeling. Through her journey, Rebecca learned that the reappearance of her avoidant ex was not a sign that he was suddenly ready to commit, but rather a manifestation of his internal struggle, a struggle between the need to be loved and the fear of losing his independence. In our conversation today, titled "Why Your Avoidant Ex May Suddenly Reappear on Valentine's Day," we shall analyze these behaviors, decode the subtle signals, and ultimately provide you with a clearer understanding of what might be going on in the mind of an avoidant ex. We will explore the paradox that even as they push you away, there remains an unspoken hope that you will someday bridge the gap. A hope that is both beautiful and heartbreaking. At its core, this phenomenon is about the delicate balance between self-preservation and the inherent human need for connection. Avoidants have, over time, learned that closeness can be perilous, that the act of opening up might lead to emotional collapse. Yet, the same instinct that drives them to retreat also compels them to seek comfort in the familiarity of what they once had. It is a contradiction that is as fascinating as it is painful. And on Valentine's Day, when every heartbeat seems to echo with the promise of love, these contradictions are laid bare, forcing avoidants to confront their deepest fears. We will also discuss the role that external triggers play in this dynamic. For instance, societal pressures, romantic ideals, and the cultural celebration of love on Valentine's Day can create an environment where even the most emotionally detached individuals feel compelled to re-examine their lives. The pressure to conform to the ideals of love and connection can lead to moments of introspection, where an avoidant ex might suddenly wonder if their habitual retreat has cost them something irreplaceable. In those moments, the mask of detachment slips just enough to reveal a glimpse of vulnerability. Throughout our discussion, you will hear about practical strategies that have helped individuals cope with the complex dynamics of avoidant attachment, whether it is learning to interpret subtle cues, finding ways to communicate without overwhelming an avoidant, or simply understanding that an avoidant silence does not equate to a lack of feeling. These insights are designed to empower you. They are based on real-life experiences, drawn from countless stories shared by those who have navigated these tricky emotional terrains. The goal is to equip you with the wisdom to recognize that the reappearance of an avoidant ex on Valentine's Day is not an anomaly, but a signal that there is still an internal battle raging, a battle between the desire for connection and the instinct to remain isolated. Imagine for a moment the scene of a quiet cafe on a chilly February morning. Outside, the world is awash in red and pink, a stark contrast to the subdued tones inside. You sit with a cup of coffee, the warmth of the mug a small comfort against the encroaching chill. Across the room, a man sits alone, his expression calm and unreadable. To the casual observer, he might seem completely at ease, untouched by the vibrancy of the day. Yet beneath that composed exterior, his mind is a storm of conflicting emotions, a storm that is about to be stirred by the unexpected reappearance of someone from his past. This is the world we are about to explore, a world where silence speaks louder than words, where distance is both a shield and a wound, and where the re-emergence of an avoidant ex on Valentine's Day is a complex interplay of fear, longing, and unresolved pain. In our journey today, we will discuss the psychological underpinnings of avoidant attachment, the societal factors that amplify these tendencies, and the intricate dance that unfolds when an avoidant ex chooses to reappear. We will look at the delicate balance between protecting oneself and the desperate need to be seen, heard, and loved. You will learn that what might seem like an abrupt disappearance or a sudden reappearance is often a reflection of deep-seated emotions that have been carefully hidden away. And in understanding these emotions, you can begin to see that the actions of an avoidant ex are not a personal indictment, but a manifestation of their internal struggles. We will share stories of individuals who have experienced this firsthand, stories that are as heart-wrenching as they are illuminating. You will hear about moments when the silence of an avoidant ex spoke volumes, when a missed call or an unanswered message became the language of a tortured soul. These narratives are not just tales of loss and regret, but lessons in empathy and understanding. They remind us that behind every act of withdrawal, there is a story of pain, of battles fought in the quiet recesses of the mind, and of a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. Moreover, we will delve into the transformative power of self-reflection and patience. For those who have been caught in the cycle of chasing after an avoidant ex, there is hope. By learning to interpret the subtle signals, to respect the silence, and to embrace the uncertainty, you can begin to heal. You will understand that the reappearance of an avoidant ex on a day like Valentine's Day is not necessarily a promise of reconciliation, but rather an opportunity, a chance to see yourself, to grow, and to ultimately learn what true connection means. As we unravel this complex tapestry, we will also address the common misconceptions about avoidant behavior. Many believe that an avoidant ex reappears merely out of nostalgia or regret. However, the truth is far more nuanced. It is about the internal conflict between the need for closeness and the instinct to protect oneself at all costs. It is about the paradox that even in the silence, there is a cry for connection, a cry that is often misunderstood, misinterpreted, or dismissed. In our conversation, we will shed light on these misconceptions, offering you insights that are both practical and profound. By the end of our discussion, you will have a deeper understanding of the avoidant mind and the myriad reasons why an ex may suddenly reappear on Valentine's Day. You will learn that these moments are not random or trivial, but significant markers in a lifelong struggle with intimacy, vulnerability, and self-worth. And most importantly, you will gain practical wisdom on how to navigate these challenging emotional waters without losing yourself in the process. If you have ever been left in the wake of an avoidant ex's silence, if you have ever wondered why they vanish just as things begin to feel real, this video is for you. the one thing that forces an avoidant to finally open up. A Gentleman's Perspective is not just a title, it is a window into the hidden world of the avoidant heart, a world where silence is as eloquent as words, and every absence tells a story of love and loss. I invite you to join me on this journey of understanding, to listen deeply, and to discover the subtle cues that reveal the truth behind the avoidance retreat. Subscribe to our channel to uncover more insights on love, attachment, and the profound human experiences that shape our lives. Remember, true wisdom lies in understanding not just the actions of others, but the underlying emotions that drive them. Stay curious, stay empathetic, and above all, stay true to your own heart. Thank you for watching, and if you believe this video might help someone dear to you, please share it with them. Your small gesture of kindness could be the catalyst for a friend's journey toward healing and self-discovery.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.